Obama, for one thing, has definitely changed the tone of the discussion. However, there doesn't seem to be any clear evidence that there is a departure from the past policies of prioritizing short-term goals over long-term goals. Do you think that that's coming?
Sadly, not for Afghanistan and Pakistan. I think that we see Obama making significant shifts in U.S. policy toward Iran, U.S. policy toward Cuba. Even domestically, we have this whole healthcare debate. We're talking about gays in the military. There are a lot of fronts that Obama is willing to change on, but not with Afghanistan and Pakistan. I think that President Obama is a carbon copy of President Bush. He's obviously much more, I don't want to say intelligent, but much more curious about local realities. He's willing to change course if necessary. However, I do think that he's willing to listen to what the generals say, and the generals will always want more troops, and I think Obama's willing to commit that.
While only Americans had the chance to vote for change they could believe in, people in the rest of the world, especially Pakistan and the Muslim world in general, also had significant hopes. But rather it seems that with the advent of the Obama administration, one bone of contention, that is the drone attacks, seem to have escalated rather dramatically. I believe in the first 4 months of the year, there were as many drone attacks as there were in the entire preceding year of the Bush administration. Many scholars here tell us that you know, this is detrimental to U.S. foreign policy. But as Mr. Rydell says, it's all we've got, and we have to keep Obama, Al-Qaeda rather, on their heels. Well, what do you have to say about that?
Well, we've killed and captured a little over a dozen Al-Qaeda operatives since 9/11, and that's been done through the CIA and FBI's close cooperation with foreign law enforcement and intelligence agencies, not necessarily blunt military force. We have killed several Al-Qaeda operatives as a result of drone strikes, and I would even concede that they have been effective at doing that. But we should not pursue a policy irrespective of the costs. And if the costs outweigh the benefits, then we need a different option. Right now, what we're noticing is as a result of drone strikes, militants in the tribal areas are now pushing themselves into Karachi, into Lahore, into Islamabad. We're seeing a spread of these suicide attacks into Pakistan's major cities. We also see the hardening of Pakistani sentiment against U.S. involvement in the region. So I think that even the limited benefits that we do gain by killing these Al-Qaeda operatives, do they outweigh the costs? I don't think so.
And of course, Baitullah Masood and many others, they don't really have any education, so it's probably not too difficult to replace them either.
Exactly.
In addition to which, we have civilian casualties that can only help to radicalize the population. They know all of this.
Right, and I think this sort of goes back to what you mentioned earlier about the conspiracy theories. If our policies are reinforcing this perception of a foreign occupation, then there's very little the United States can do to close that trust deficit if its very own policies are undermining the trust that we seek to promote.
What are your views on the recently passed aid bill to Pakistan?
As I mentioned earlier, I think that aid is always beneficial, it's always helpful, but aid in and of itself will not correct the horribly and horrendous policies that we have on the other side of the ledger. You can give billions of dollars to Pakistan and it won't matter for the drone strikes or those that are killed as a result of drone strikes. Also, is the aid going to be given to those who need it most? I think that after the Swat Valley initiative and the offensive that was carried out in spring, there was a promise that there would be more air-conditioned units for the internally displaced refugees. That didn't come. There are all these promises and expectations made, and the money doesn't trickle down to those who need it most. I would be fearful that the money and the aid, the billions of dollars of aid that were being given to Pakistan will just maybe line the pockets of Zardari and his colleagues.
There's much controversy over this aid bill and the conditionalities that it places. Do you believe, as many Pakistanis do, that this is tantamount to a compromise of Pakistan's sovereignty, or do you think that's exaggerated?
I mean, it may be exaggerated, but I can understand where both sides sort of come at this. The United States, as a Congress, the Congress can't dole out money without any strings attached. That's impossible. Any country that we give aid to, there is some sort of stipulation for our interests. So that's understandable. On the other side, I can see why the Pakistanis would be up in arms, because for them it is sort of an affront on their sovereignty when it's told that you have to have this level of democratic involvement, you can't have the military intervene on these issues. I mean, let's be realistic. It's been a sort of gradual in and out of military and civilian leaders for much of its history. I believe for 38 of its 61 years it's been controlled directly by the military. So as a political reality, you just can't have that stipulation. So it makes sense on sort of both sides why they would consider the stipulations and the strings attached as undermining their interests or as a promotion of their interests.
Malou, how long have you been with the Cato Institute?
I've been here for 3 years now.
3 years, and prior to which you were?
I was an intern at the California office of California Congressman Pete Stark, and then I was a master's student at the University of Chicago.
You don't mind my asking how old you are?
26.
26 years old, and you're a policy advisor at the Cato Institute. Now, does that seem odd to any of the people that you talk to, that they would listen to a 26-year-old tell them about policy?
It's funny. I think some people are taken aback by it. If anything, I think it shows that Washington needs fresh voices. They can't listen to the people who are constructing U.S. assistance to the Mujahideen back in the 80s. I mean, of course, their policies went swimmingly. I think that Washington is willing to listen to new people, new voices, and get different perspectives on these issues. And so, even though, I'm able to do what I love and what I do, I think it shows that we do see progress, at least in some realms of Washington.
Yeah, I think you and I could probably agree that the generations of our parents have probably not served to solve many of the problems that we face, and it's probably time for a change.
Exactly.
Malou, we look forward to your success.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
As you have seen, we have spoken to two of the foremost scholars at the Cato Institute. While they are outside of the mainstream, their foreign policy views are listened to and heard by many on the Hill and in the White House. We can only hope that at some point in the near future, the U.S. government will start to listen to its academics and scholars from all across the think tanks and the educational community. Until next time, Nazreen, Khuda Hafiz.